I'm just about to head out the door here at Taylor Towers for a day and a night out on the hills. And good practice and conventional wisdom would certainly recommend leaving something like this behind at home with a loved one, or if you can't find a loved one, a member of the family, outlining where you're going, how long you're going to be, when you're going to come back, what route you're taking, what equipment you're carrying, etc., etc., along with some instructions on what to do should I fail to return home or report back home by a certain time. However, in recent weeks, this conventional wisdom I've thrown out the window a little because I'm doing something slightly different. Same practice, but I'm just approaching it in a different way. If you want to find out what I'm doing differently, still being safe, but just taking a different approach to it, then keep watching and I'll update you once I'm out on the hills. Here I am, out on the hills. I've actually been out here quite a few hours now. I'm just sort of getting settled down for the evening, had my food, done my videos, just having a hot drink, and then I'm gonna get my kit off and get into my sleeping bag. I did say I was gonna come back to you though, didn't I, and explain a little bit more about my somewhat teaser statement that I no longer leave those emergency route card contact detail things at home. There are two primary reasons why I no longer do that. Before I tell you them though, let me say this. Leaving information with people about where you're going, when you're going to be back, what you're carrying, what route you're taking, I'm not discounting that, okay? That is incredibly good practice. I wish more people did it. I bet the mountain rescue teams wish more people did it. So I'm not down on that. It's how I think we could think about differently how we do it. That's the thing I'm getting at. I'm not down on leaving that kind of information with people. It's how we leave it with people. I'm doing things differently for two reasons. Firstly, I've received a fairly decent amount of training in how to convey safety critical information to other people by non-face-to-face means, over radios, etc. I've received a lot of training how to do it. I've had some experience in doing it in simulations, on the odd occasion for real, but mostly simulations on exercise. And I'll tell you something, it can be hard under pressure, under stress, to convey safety critical information completely and utterly accurately. It's not impossible, but it's hard to do even with training, let alone expecting my wife to be able to do it potentially under quite a bit of pressure if you think about the situation, expecting her to do it over the phone. So there's the human factor element about it. The other factor, and going on to the human factor element as well, just touching on that, I now live in Wales. Some of the places that I go they're difficult to pronounce correctly, and if you pronounce them incorrectly, I suspect you could convey a completely different meaning to somebody else. Yes, I do leave grid references and things like that, but even so, I do leave place names of the vague route that I will be following. The second factor that I think is more important, think about the situation. You're at home, you've decided upon a route. You write that route down, pen and paper. You leave it at home. The moment you leave your house, that information you've left behind at home has the potential to go out of date. It has the potential to change. You might get to the car park that you want to start from and it's full. You might get to the valley that you want to work in and the weather's horrendous. You need to move to a different location. If you've left the information at home, that information is a snapshot in time. That's the best way of describing it. It's a snapshot in time. You can't update that information because it's written on a piece of paper at home. So what I do, some of you might have already started to second guess me here, is I text my wife all of the information that's on the paper-based route card. I text that to her, and I also leave it in the family WhatsApp messenger group as well. I leave it there. So my name, my contact number, how many's in the party, what map am I using, what's my start point grid reference, what's my finish point, what's the route that I'm taking. I don't go into grid references and bearings and timings and all that. I just leave vague, pretty broad ideas about I'm going from A to B to C via D. What's my ETA back at the car? What kit am I carrying? What emergency kit? I want people to know if they need to come after me that actually Craig is, Craig's got his head on his shoulders and he's got the right kit to be out there. He's not wandering around in shorts and naffy flip-flops. If I change my mind when I'm out on the ground, assuming I've got a signal, which I won't always have, but assuming I have, I can then amend that and send it so she's got an updated copy. I can't do that if the paper-based copy's at home. What am I going to do? Go home, rewrite it, come back out again? That's not going to happen, is it? So that's the reason why I've stopped leaving paper-based route cards at home. I'm not down on the principle of what they're trying to achieve at all. I just think there are smarter ways of doing it. If I text the information to her, if she ever needs to use it, she can forward that message onto the emergency services. She's not expected, under potentially a lot of stress, being upset, at least I hope she would be. I'm not expecting to be able to read out grid references. I'm not expecting to be able to pronounce Welsh names. I'm not having to expect it to phonetically spell out the Welsh names of where I've gone and my route, etc. She can just long click the text message, forward that information to the number that the emergency services would give her. They have it in black and white in front of them then, rather than relying on the potential for the comms to be corrupted because my wife has unwittingly relayed some incorrect information. And like I said, when I'm out on the ground, if my plan changes, if I've got a signal, then I can text it back to the change of plan. If I don't have a signal, I'm in no worse a situation than if I'd left a paper-based copy at home, am I? She's got the incorrect information, but there's more likelihood of me having having a phone signal to send an updated text than there is of me driving all the way home to rewrite the route card to drive back out again. So that's why I'm doing things, and have been doing for several months now, things differently with reference to leaving emergency contact information, route plan, route information, so on and so forth. What do you think about it? Is it a good idea? Is it a terrible idea? If it's a good idea, why is it? If it's the worst idea you've ever heard, tell me. What's the flaw in my cunning plan? Some of you might say, well, what if your wife loses her phone just by sod's law the day that you're out on the ground and the information's on there? And that's a really good point. And that's why I don't just text it to her. I also send it to the family WhatsApp group that we've got. So my wife's got it, my son's got access to it, and my daughter, who's also got a phone, has got access to it as well. I'm not putting all my eggs in one basket with my wife's phone, as it were. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you do things differently? First of all, do you leave a route card? I really hope you do. If you don't, start doing that, please. How do you leave it? Is it paper-based? Do you email the information? Do you text it? Do you WhatsApp it? Well, what do you do to let people know where you're going, what you're carrying, what route you're taking, and when you're going to be back? This is an important conversation. People don't do it often enough, so let's have a chat about this. And also I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts about my slightly different way of thinking about it. The wind's picking up now, so I'm going to batten down the hatches, just double check all my tent pegs are in securely. Then I'm going to hunker down with my hot chocolate, and I might even watch a crafty Netflix movie. Take care, folks. Stay safe.